If you want to be successful, I think you have to get this concept. I don't think you can be successful without it. I suppose there might be businesses out there, but I would think business owners would get sick. They would make themselves sick in that situation. I know that my business was not going anywhere until I figured this out.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question: what has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, the author of How to Hire the Best, and your co-host on the Profit by Design podcast. Weekly, my co-host, Mike Bruno, and I bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests, who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real-life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. Profit designers, are you ready to take your life back from your business? If so, I invite you to join us in the Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook community that we've started at Tap the Potential. Chances are, if you have a growing business, you're paying a team, and you still feel like you're having to do it all. It shouldn't be this way. Work should support life, not the other way around. And at Tap the Potential, we support entrepreneurs like you in designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. In our Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook group, I'm sharing with you lots of tips, tools, and strategies to support you in a business that gives you your life back. When you join our community, you will get access to exclusive mini trainings from me, including the Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart, as well as the How to Hire the Best Jumpstart. These free trainings are available only to the members of the Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook community. There's no charge to join. I would love to see you there and get to know more about you. To join us, go to tapthepotential.com/group. That's tapthepotential.com/group. Profit designers, today we're joined by Cathy Anesi. Cathy is the owner and director of the Lighthouse Retreat and Wellness Center. She's been a client in our Better Business, Better Life program since June of 2020. She came in right in the height of COVID, and she has an incredible story. So before we dive into her story, I want you to know a little bit more about her background and what she's up to in her business. Cathy is a licensed clinical social worker with extensive experience working with individuals of all ages, families, and groups. She supervises the therapeutic staff at the Lighthouse. She's a Reiki master, has certifications in cranial sacral therapy, and completed level 4 training in the pure healing light energy. Cathy's sessions are unique in that she utilizes energy healing modalities combined with traditional psychotherapy where appropriate. This method is an extremely effective way to help clients process sometimes painful emotional issues easily in an environment of support and healing. Cathy's passion is facilitating groups concentrating on the empowerment and self-care of women. Her compassion and non-judgmental spirit offers a space that is nurturing and healing. Cathy is also a Level II EMDR therapist. And for those of you who may not know, EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing. It is a form of psychotherapy that was developed to resolve symptoms resulting from disturbing and unresolved life experiences. Cathy has also received her MSW from Fordham University Graduate School of Social Work with a concentration in children and families. She's worked extensively with families of children with disabilities within the Westchester County area through early intervention in the Committee of Preschool Education. Currently, Cathy provides family therapy using the NEST modality in conjunction and collaboration with other Lighthouse therapists. The NEST modality is very intriguing, and it is cutting edge. Cathy is really innovating here, and that's a part of what we get into in the podcast interview. So with that in mind, let's join the interview. Profit designers, at Tap the Potential, we are on a mission right now to be a positive force in social media during trying times for all of us entrepreneurs. In that regard, I would love it if you could help us out we really want to get behind any of you who are doing good things in your communities, showing up and leading with love. If you are doing something to keep your team together during this time and you're sharing it in social media, or you come across another entrepreneur who is being a gift from their gift in some way that you notice, please use the hashtags Lead with Love and Be a Gift. Our team at Tap the Potential is on the lookout in social media for those hashtags, and we will be reposting those social media posts from the Tap the Potential social media. Let's all lead with love, be a gift, and shine bright during these trying times. Cathy, welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. I finally got you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You are a much anticipated guest. One of the things that I really love to do is to share the real stories of our clients in the Better Business, Better Life program. And you have been in our program now for 10 months. You came in at the height of COVID, June 2020. And you have an incredible journey. You started getting results within just a few months with us. And at the 6-month mark, you and I had a meeting and you shared with me, okay, I've done all this, Dr. Sabrina. What am I going to do with you guys for the next 6 months? And I said, oh, no worries. We have plans in store for you, Cathy. But I want to acknowledge that you really are, you're throwing yourself into the work. You're just everything that we share with you and encourage you to do, you're embracing it and you're doing it and you're getting results. And I love to share that because I know there's entrepreneurs out there who are struggling right now, who want something different in their business. They want that time freedom, that ability to go and do the things that matter most and to have a business that, pays the bills and allows them to have money to take care of their personal needs and do other things that are important to them. So I think your story is very inspiring. And that's why I was like, oh, we've got to get Cathy on the podcast. So Cathy, as we start out, maybe take us back to where you were last year in your business and maybe the year before that, like what was driving your decision to seek out support and coaching? And what was going on? What were the challenges?
So I think that I remember searching for some sort of group of entrepreneurs that I could connect with in my community because I felt very alone in my business. And I really didn't know other people that had a business like mine. I knew people that were entrepreneurs. I had more solopreneurs. I didn't know anybody in any mid-sized businesses really in my area. I had tried some of the local groups and they just weren't helping me with what I was looking for, which was, how the heck do I run this business? How do I make it profitable? How can I step away and breathe a little bit, not feel like I have to be there every minute? And so I had been searching for at least a year. I had been searching and trying. And my business was really not making it we were just making it. If anybody wasn't I might not get paid, but everyone else was getting paid. We were a small business of therapists and we had a beautiful space and everything looked lovely from the outside. But really in my heart, I knew that I couldn't sustain it. And so then that was on my mind. So I was trying to strategize where to go, how to change, what the changes should be. And then COVID hit. And that was my office closed in one day and we went completely mobile.
You were not virtual prior to.
No, we were not virtual at all, not one iota virtual. And one day the office was open and the next day it was closed. So we pivoted. I'm really proud of us. We pivoted really fast. We learned Zoom really quickly and well. Our clients were happy to shift because they were panicking as well. And they needed our help more than ever because the anxiety level on the planet was just crazy. And in the meantime, I was really even more concerned, oh no, now what do I do? And then I was on, I think, Facebook and I don't know, somehow I got a road back to Tap the Potential. And Darren, called me and said, I hear you're interested in the group. We have this, this, and this. And so I just explained to him exactly what I was looking for, which was a group of business owners that share exactly how they're doing their business. And he said, it sounds like you want our Better Life, Better Business group. And I said, it does? What is that? And then I was like, okay, sign me up. Whatever. I knew I had to do something. I knew I was at a crossroads, whether to throw in the towel of 10 years of putting my whole heart and soul into something, or this is my one last shot. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the investment and I'm going to do this. So, I came in ready and committed. I mean, super committed. I'm a commitment queen anyway, but I really came in super committed to get everything that I possibly could out of this program to see if my business could survive and thrive, more than survive. It had been surviving, but thriving. And little by little, following the steps, doing everything that the Tap the Potential team asked me to do. And I did it all. And now here we are a year later, 10 months later, but a year from COVID. And it's been amazing. We blew off the walls of the office. I mean, we could only have a certain amount of therapists because we only had a certain amount of offices, and we only had offices for a certain amount of time. So that blew the walls off the office. So now I can have as many therapists I want that can work whenever they want to work, and has created so much more flexibility. And the back office staff was very resistant to moving into electronic files. So they had their cabinets with their paper files, and that was blown out because now we're completely on an electronic files, which saves a lot of time and energy. So all these little changes has helped us grow. And because we're using Zoom, we can do bigger groups. We do a lot of groups at the Lighthouse, and you could only fit however many people you could fit in an office to do a group. But now in Zoom, we can do as many people guests as we want or who want to sign up. So many things happened this year, and also streamlining my business and finding my sweet spot and focusing on what's ahead and where I'm going really has brought me here today.
That's an incredible journey, Cathy. And what I'm really struck by is, number one, like, you acknowledge your team for how quickly you pivoted. And I have to say, after I've worked with a lot of business owners, particularly therapy businesses, and suggesting to them, you don't have to be confined to your office. There's virtual offerings that you could do. It's just a whole new model of working. And it was very hard for people to wrap their head around. And even when you and I started talking and you were in the midst of blowing those office walls out of the water, you said, I just can't wrap my head around what that might look like. It's very hard to see, but COVID really forced that. I mean, that's the blessing in disguise, right? With COVID, is it really forced that. And now, from a financial perspective in your business, just getting away from a physical office space and payroll typically are the biggest expenses in a business. So when you can remove one of those big expenses, it creates the opportunity for more profit right away. So that was highly innovative. And we were looking at just what has happened financially in your business since you started with us and where you are now. And I want to share, when Cathy came in, she says, I used to do this in other people's business, but I wasn't doing it in my business. She didn't have a sense of what her gross margin or her net profit margin was. When you filled out our initial questionnaire, you said, I just don't know. And now you know what it is, and we know the increase. So just some interesting numbers. Q1 2020 compared to Q1 2021, you've had a 41% increase in revenue during COVID. Like, your business is growing. And you have had net profit increase. Well, let's say this. Your gross margin was 30% when you started with us. You're now at 42% and continuing to work towards 60 to 65% gross margin. Your net margin, net profit, was 7% in the first quarter of 2020. And now you are at 20% net profit. This is amazing.
Yeah, I know it is. I can't believe it myself. I was saying when I first heard at the beginning of my journey with Have the Potential that I needed to work towards 60 or 65, I nearly fell off my chair. But I mean, only 10 months later and we're at 40. So, we'll continue on that path. That was, yeah. And what it has done for me, that 40%, which now I understand, it gives me and the Lighthouse room to grow and room to innovate and room to try other things, which is instead of just going month to month and praying you can pay the bills and get paid at the same time. So, yeah, it's so important.
So on the Profit by Design podcast, we talk about the step one in the Tap the Potential solution, which is design your business to be sustainably profitable. That gross profit margin, increasing that to the 60 to 65%. The reason you need that is exactly what you identified, so that you have additional funds to be able to innovate, to try new things, to grow, to hire A players, to be able to promote from within and acknowledge your team members who are learning and growing with you. All of that is necessary in addition to being able to pay yourself an appropriate owner's pay and take a profit distribution as the owner of the business. Because if you can't take a profit distribution every quarter, you are not getting any return on your investment as the entrepreneur for the entrepreneurial risk you bear. So all those years you've gone without a paycheck, that's risk that you've borne. You've lay awake at night. You've tried to figure out, how are we going to cover the bills? And you're smiling. I know people can't see you right now on video, but you're like, yeah, that's exactly where I was. And so that increase in the profit margin allows you to do those things. So that is the more money in your bank account than you've ever had before. It puts you at choice.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And honestly, I didn't think I would ever get here. Honestly, joining Tap the Potential was the last kind of straw. And I'm really grateful because I can see where the Lighthouse can go. I can see all the people more people we can serve. I can see the growth in my employees.
So I want to hear more. Tell me about what opportunities you see in the immediate future for innovating, for growth, for serving more people and helping.
Well, the one thing that has been sort of organically born out of our work at the Lighthouse is our NEST program, which is the modality really doesn't exist. It's new to us, and we call it NEST. And it's a form of family therapy where each person in the family gets their own individual therapist. And then we meet in small group settings in many different combinations of the family members so that we can kind of support them in positive communication styles. They get to air things in a safe environment. We as therapists get to see how our particular client is responding. We get to go back and work with them. It's not easy work. It's challenging because you really have to be feeling really grounded in yourself because you don't want to become part of the family's dysfunction because that's what can happen. So we as therapists have to make sure that we're supporting each other, supervising each other, and calling ourselves out on when we're joining, as I call it, the family. And then we also showing our families positive ways to communicate. So the changes in families, the transformations have been crazy. And now I'm hearing people say, I heard a woman last night on group. She's in a women's group that I do. And we also see her and her husband. I am her therapist. And one of my colleagues is husband's therapist. And we've been working with them for a while now. And she shared in group that she and her husband had a little conflict. They were able to get through it. And she used the words, we had our own nest without the therapist and it worked out just fine. And I was like, that's it. That's what we're doing.
They've internalized.
Therefore, and we don't want to keep anybody forever. So we're like, okay, you're flying the coop nest. out.
You're leaving the nest.
Yeah, leave the nest. They have your own. But that's like an exciting thing for me. That's what really makes me happy. And so we're beginning to really do some serious training with our therapists on the nest modality, and which is a challenge in itself, but the outcome is really, I think, really, really good and can help a lot of families, particularly in this day and age when people are totally stressed out, totally.
Yes. When you have multiple family members stressed for various reasons, it's just a combination that's, I don't want to say toxic because that's not necessarily the case, but it's just ripe for, conflict and added stress in the home. And so the work that you're doing is incredibly important work right now. When you talk about amazing transformations and the families that you help, what are some of the issues that they have coming in, and when they're leaving the nest, what do you see? What's the transformation?
Well, usually when people come in, there's a lot of finger pointing going on. I would feel better if he did this or behaved in that way, or just finger pointing. And so what the nest really does is, in a way, it teaches people to understand that they have responsibility in their own lives and they can take control of situations when they think they can't, like they're playing a part. So we really help them see the part that they're playing in the dysfunction. And once they get that, it's like an aha moment, and they step back and say, oh, and they begin to behave differently. Even if it's just one person in the family does that, it just changes the whole dynamic. So if we can get everyone thinking like that in the family and taking responsibility for themselves, then they can really thrive. Then they can choose to change or not. They feel more in control. It feels safer for them. And then we see people thriving, living their lives happily.
I imagine we have some profit designers listening who are thinking, oh my goodness, I could really benefit from this, or my family could really benefit from the nest. So Cathy, I want you to give your website and how people could get in contact with you if they are interested in this service for themselves.
Sure. They can just go to the lighthouseretreat.com and check it out. You'll check out the nest. You'll see all our therapists, and then just hit the contact button and you'll be contacted by our office manager, Laura, who's lovely, and she'll take all your information and we can get you started.
Thank you. That's awesome. And because this is virtual, people can do this from anywhere. And having been a psychologist in the mental health field for many years before I transitioned into coaching, one of the things that I know is that it is very hard to find a good therapist locally, right? And so when you blow the walls off of what you are offering, now people that can come from anywhere and have an opportunity to do this work with you, and ability to stay in your home and do this work as a client is very powerful, I think, because the convenience factor is incredible. And that's another area that you're innovating in for your clients.
Yeah. And
creating something that's highly convenient.
Yeah. And what's interesting about the NEST program too, is it's not like we don't allow people to be on the same screen, but we prefer that each person has their own screen, like in another room, almost like separate, so that it just makes it for some reason. Yeah, it's funny. And also getting the whole family to a physical office space or combinations of is also difficult.
Yeah, the scheduling challenges. I used to do family therapy years ago, and I just remember how hard it was to get everyone in the room at a given time, and the ability that you have to do that and have each person's individual therapist present. It's incredible. And it's a highly innovative therapeutic model. So one of the things that I anticipate when I look out what's going forward for you, I really see that your NEST modality is going to become something that the therapeutic community is looking to as a role model of, a therapeutic best practice. I see the opportunity for you to be training other therapists, for you to have a registered program that you take people through, even certifying. The possibilities are endless. There could be a book in your future. So many things, Cathy.
Aye.
What's beautiful about this is you are in control. you get to pick and choose, how things evolve from here, what you want. It's never about, oh, this is the way I have to go now. I'm on this path. No, you get to design this business to be the way you want it to be. And so one of the things we do a lot of work with you all on in our Better Business, Better Life program is visioning and really staying connected to who you are and what you value as you grow the business. Because I think one of the biggest disservices that business coaches can do for their clients is to grow the business just for the sake of growing revenue and create a business that is not healthy for the entrepreneur. And so much of that goes on in the coaching world. Yes, we grew your revenue, but if you're miserable and you're working 80 hours a week to keep that revenue going, what good is that? And so one of the things we do at Tap the Potential that's very unique in the business coaching world is that you are designing a business that is supporting your life, because we believe work supports life, not the other way around. So as you go forward, you have that opportunity to pick and choose, like, this is what I want to do with the business. This is going to be, the impact that I want to have. Here's the avenue that we want to take it. Here we go.
Yeah. And currently, I guess my biggest challenge is moving away from the day-to-day in the business. I have been doing everything for too long, and I feel comfortable and safe doing everything for so long and miserable for so long. So now I have placed, because I had some gross margin, net margin to use, I've been able to promote people into specific areas and I've given them the responsibility in that area so that I can step away and just look at the visioning part, like Dr. Sabrina, you just said. Then I can think of next steps and where we want to go. I just personally, as a human being, need a lot of alone time with nobody talking to me, just quiet. And when you're working in your business 24/7, it's hard to find that quiet time just to think about those things and to feel into where I really want to go and where I think the lighthouse wants to go. And I'm just really getting started on that journey and beginning to really hand over, and I'm beginning to feel a little bit more spaciousness, and of course have to deal with what comes up for me, just as a person. My own transformational work is what that means for me, to let go of those areas. Who am I in relationship to this business anymore? I worked very hard so that the lighthouse is the lighthouse, and Cathy Anesi is Cathy Anesi, and successfully, I want to take it to the next place. So that's my next journey.
What you're going through, Cathy, is very common. And we see this in our clients in our Better Business, Better Life program. And it's that we are staying in the business and doing the in the business activities because it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's just autopilot, really. Even as we know, I'm not supposed to be doing these things anymore. We fall right back into those ways. And so one of the opportunities that you have is those vacation tests and working towards that 4-week vacation, because now you have, at this point in the program, you have that team that is ready to take more off your plate, and you can schedule those vacation tests, which ironically gives you exactly what you need, that time away to do that thinking and to just get quiet and centered with yourself so you can think about what is next for me. And then as you build those vacation tests and add on and get to that point where you can really be away for 4 weeks and everything runs without you, that 4-week period, every time I've gone away for an extended period, and I've had other clients and other colleagues who've done it, the insights and the aha moments are amazing. And we get to a place in our thinking and ideas for the business in the future that we just would never get to if we are, even 20 hours a week in the business and 20 hours doing our own thing. We don't have those insights. That ability to just completely step away gives us that opportunity to do that. So, on the one level, the 4-week vacation is really a way to get the business running without you. But the other value of it is what you're going to discover about yourself during those 4 weeks.
I penciled it in for August into September. I don't know, but.
No, you've said it on the podcast, Cathy.
Oh, shoot. I wrote it on the last form.
So really, I'm teasing you, but publicly announcing a 4-week vacation is one of the greatest ways to get yourself accountable to it and get other people excited about it. Have you announced it yet in your team?
I've just mentioned it to one person.
Okay, so we're going to drop this podcast episode next week.
Oh boy.
You might want to have a team meeting before this episode releases, Cathy. No, I'm teasing you, but here's the thing that's so cool. When your team gets wind that you are planning a 4-week vacation and you give them the dates, all of a sudden it's like people just show up and they want to show you they can do this. They see this as their opportunity to really show you what they're capable of doing and build your confidence in them that you can go and do this.
I am totally confident they can do it. I'm not confident that I can stay out of it. That's the thing. But no, I have a great team and I know they can. And they do stuff better than I can do it. So no, I'm sure there'll be glitches, there'll be things, but I don't think it'll be anything major. I know they're really solid. And that's.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you're going to need accountability to us that you're going to step out of the business during that time.
Yes.
I know it's so hard to do it. Every time I go away, I'm like, but well, there's one more thing I wanted to tell you. Or, like 2 weeks into the vacation, I wonder if they know this. And, just kind of like, okay, we're just going to trust that it's going to be handled some way. And it always does.
They may have a better idea than I would have had anyway to handle it. So
let's talk about opportunities on your team for growth, because that's another thing that we really support you on in our Better Business, Better Life program is creating that great place to work that attracts those A players. So all of my work in the How to Hire the Best books, we take you guys through that in the program. And that's important because when you're growing the way you're growing, you need to be able to hire the best. You need to be able to have that steady pipeline of A players coming your way. And the other thing that we find in these small businesses is that it's much easier to hire for entry-level positions and then promote from within than it is to hire for a higher level position and train someone and bring them up to speed. When you're promoting from within, you have people who buy into your values and that they're a good fit already. So you had a team member go through our How to Hire the Best course. You've had team members in our leadership boot camp, those are your A players, and they're learning how to take leadership roles in the business. So talk to me some about what you've seen from your team members who've gone through leadership boot camp. And also, what do you see on the future or in the future for hiring and the growth in that direction?
Well, the leadership boot camp really helped my employees understand kind of where the Lighthouse is going. Before, and I know that, I was a player in this, but before everyone would come to me with sort of complaints about something that's not going well or right. And then it was my responsibility to fix it or make it right. And that was not a good dynamic that was going on. And it certainly was unconscious on my part. I didn't realize that is what I was doing. So, through Tap the Potential for myself and through the leadership boot camp, my employees understand that they come to me now with solutions rather than just telling me what's wrong. They have ideas they want to share. They're doing things more on their own. And it's opened up a different communication style with us, which I think is healthier. It's just healthier. And also, they're taking ownership of the business. It's not, I heard it all the time. Well, it's your business. Well, guess what? It's not my business. It's our business because I cannot do it alone. And so that was the biggest piece from Leadership Boot Camp. And then from How to Hire the Best, I just, I have that's my next also path is I learned so much about almost the psychology of hiring people and how to it's always been a nightmare. Oh my God. If you could say what the worst part is getting good employees, because you put so much time, so much effort into training, and we really do at the Lighthouse. And then to find out that, they don't align with your core values, or they just don't fit. And you wished you could have known that right up front rather than 6 months down the road when it's just so expensive. It's expensive in all ways, not monetarily, always. And so I've learned, I learned through How to Hire the Best. And one of my employees also came through it with me, at least a strategy. And we're going to try it, and we're going to keep, refining until we get it right. It probably is never right, but it's going to be pretty good. We're going to get really good. And, I used to come from a place of desperation, hiring people. Oh my God, we need people. And I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to wait. And you know what? That kind of gross margin is what enables me to do that, actually, if I think about it, because a little cushion there gives me a little space that I can say, okay, we're not desperate. We're just going to wait. And we're going to find the right person. And we're going to go through the steps that we learned. So that's next.
Absolutely. And so I want to emphasize a few points in what you shared. The hiring process is an iterative process when you're working on improving your hiring system. And so if you follow traditional hiring methods, you're going to mishire 75% of the time. And that's what we've all been taught we should do. In traditional hiring looks like we have an opening, we create a job ad, we put it out there, we take in resumes, we look at those resumes and see who's the best out of what came in. Then we schedule some interviews with those people, and then we hire based on who was the best from that out of the interview process. That's the process that sets us up to mishire 75% of the time. And so what I teach in How to Hire the Best is really understanding the psychology of A players and how to get in front of them and attract them to your business. And as you use your How to Hire the Best system and you take pieces of it and you keep honing and refining it, you're going to increase your chances of hiring right, so that you shift it to that you have a 75% chance of hiring right every time you go to hire, or greater. And that's one of the fun things that I see from some of our clients who've been using How to Hire the Best now for several years is they get better and better at their hiring. And it's no longer this stressful thing that they have to do. It's just part of their systems of doing business, and they can hire when they need to. The other thing I want to speak to, though, is what you talked about with your team members in Leadership Bootcamp, really taking ownership of the business and understanding the importance of the profit in the business. That is something, what amazes me, honestly, is that Leadership Bootcamp is 6 weeks long. It's just 6 weeks. And when we have A players, and we're real clear, don't send us your warm bodies. I don't want your warm bodies in Leadership Bootcamp. They bring it down for everybody. But when you send us your A players, what we can do with them in 6 weeks' time is amazing, because they throw themselves all in. And I teach them about the importance of profit in a small business and why it is their business to make sure that the business that they're working for is profitable, because they have no job security. If you're the business owner laying awake at night worrying about how to make payroll, they have no job security whatsoever. And when something like COVID hits, and I say to them, if you're working in a business where there's no profit and there's an extreme circumstance like COVID, your chances of keeping your job are like gone. So you want to make sure the business is profitable. And then we start talking to them about the importance of understanding the business sweet spot, who the top clients are in the business, and get them thinking about, if they can't do more than one thing in a single day or a given week, what is the most important one thing they do? And then they have to go to you, the owner, and say, okay, now, Cathy, tell me, if you want me doing this one thing, how does it apply to our profitability? How does it impact that? And how does it apply to our sweet spot? Help me understand that. And when you have those conversations with them and they understand that, and the other thing that we do in Leadership Bootcamp, and this is kind of a secret, so I'm cluing people in, we give your team members secret missions. Every week, they are told to show up and be a gift from their gifts in some way in the business in a meaningful way. So they're learning about their personality. They're learning about their strengths. They're learning about how some things that they do that come really easy to them don't come easy to other team members. So they're starting to look for, okay, how can I support profit? How can I support the sweet spot? How do I apply my gifts, my strengths in this way and really show up and serve? So that shifts them into this place of, I'm taking ownership. I'm going to be the problem solver, not the problem identifier.
Yes, which is so important when you're a business owner. Most of the time, you're pretty clear on the issues. You don't need to be reminded. You need solutions and conversation around those solutions. So yeah, that's been really good. And even as far as the profitability goes, I guess Laura, my office manager person, went through boot camp. I have to change her title. I don't know what yet, but she's the front, she answers the phone and she negotiates the fee because we have a sliding scale at the Lighthouse. And when she became aware that those decisions she was making, because I'm certainly not going to sit and negotiate each, when it became clear to her what we were doing as a team, I think that's been a lot of the improvement, or a big chunk of the improvement, that she got that concept clearly. Because in my field, we want to help everybody. And we listen to their story and we want to, help them and give them a good price. But she now understands that she has her parameters now.
Yeah.
And so she knows where she can live, where she can move, has made, I think, a huge difference in the profitability. Just that one thing that she got.
That is huge. In the helping professions, that is rampant, that where office managers will cut clients slack on their payments or whatever without understanding what that's doing to the profit of the business, to the business owner themselves. Like, they're the one now going, I can't sleep tonight because my office manager cut somebody a really good deal because she felt bad for them, And yet the other thing is, sometimes you can cut these really good deals for somebody. And when you have a physical office space, all of a sudden you see them drive up and they're driving up in their fancy car and you're like, I think they just sold us a story.
Yeah.
So understanding how to balance that and having an office manager that understands that is really, really valuable. The other piece too in all of this is, you identified that people were coming to you with complaints about what's not working, and it was my job to fix it. And I had a role in that. You said I wasn't aware that I had a role in this dynamic that was playing out. What strikes me about that, Cathy, you and I are both therapists, trained therapists. We know about family dynamics and how there's roles in a system that get played out. And if we're not aware that we're playing a role and that we're in a dance, we just keep doing that dance. So other business owners listening to this, you're listening to two trained therapists who have both been in this dance in their business. And we didn't see it until someone else pointed it out to both of us. So don't feel bad.
Hook, line, and sinker. I was in that. Holy mackerel.
So these dynamics that we fall into with our teams in our business, yes, we have a role as the business owner, and the team has a role. And I like to think about us being on a seesaw with our team. And so when we overfunction as the business owner, it allows our team to get away with underfunctioning. So if you think about yourself as a business owner on a seesaw, you're at one end, your team is on the other end. If you're going to overfunction as a business owner, you're hopping onto that seesaw and you are going hard, full force all the way to the ground, and your team flies up in the air. And they're like, whoa, what's going on? And so we want to balance the seesaw where the business owner, we don't want an underfunctioning business owner. That's not good. We want you in your roles, in your personal sweet spot, Cathy. And this is what you're working with right now for yourself, is figuring out what's my greatest contribution to this business. And we want your team members leveling that seesaw, showing up as whole, competent, capable people that don't need you to mother them and take care of them and tell them what to do. They're able to make decisions on their own. So this seesaw becomes a very nice, fun experience for everyone because we're balancing each other on the team by showing up fully as adult human beings from our strengths and looking at what does the business need most from all of us. So for those of you listening, if you hear yourself over functioning as that business owner who's doing everything in the business and all the decisions are getting filtered through you, well, now you know. And now you're at choice and you have the opportunity to think about, well, what do I want to do about this now that I know?
And also, if you want to be successful, I think you have to get this concept. I don't think you can be successful without it. I suppose there might be businesses out there, but I would think business owners would get sick. They would make themselves sick in that situation. I know that my business was not going anywhere until I figured this out. And I think it's an important thing. I think it's a super important thing. And it's, it's challenging because you have, as a business owner, have to look at yourself. And, I'm in the business where I'm asking others to look at themselves. And so I understand that what that takes and the courage and the challenge it is. But if we as business owners want to take our businesses to the next level, we have to do that as well. Yeah. So
it takes courage to look at ourselves. It takes courage to make the investment in coaching. And I want to acknowledge you because you spoke to that and we didn't really touch on that, but it's a huge investment. It's for most people, it's one of the most, next to a car, it's one of the most biggest investments you'll ever make. And so I know for myself, anytime that I have made that investment, I've looked at, will I throw myself all into this? Because if I won't, this investment's not going to be worthwhile. But if I can say, yes, I'm going to go all in, and I know it's a program where people have gotten results and the results that I'm looking to get, and I can have that honest conversation of, am I going to go all in with this? Then that's been how I've made the decision. And at the same time, when you're making that decision and you say yes to yourself, because that's really what this is, on the other side of it, the next day it's kind of like, what did I just do? And the fear and those gremlins set in. And so, Cathy, that's why I want to acknowledge you and say how much I appreciate you being here, because somebody is having that, oh, crud moment. What did I just do? And they're going to hear this podcast episode and they're going to say, okay, Cathy did it. There's others at Tap the Potential that have done this. I'm going to throw myself all in. I'm going to make it work.
And also, when things get tough, when they constrict, that's the time to invest. And that was it, because I could not afford to do Tap the Potential last year. That was crazy. But I said, no, I can't afford not to, because if I don't know where I'll be.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't afford not to do things.
That's exactly it, is thinking through, if I don't move forward with this, what am I looking at on the other side? More of the same. And if it's more of the same for another 6 months, or if it gets worse, what is that going to be for me? So I'm just honored that you've trusted us, that you have been on this journey with us, and that we've gotten to be a part of this with you, Cathy. And I am so excited to see where you go with the Nest and the impact that you are making in the world with your creative brain and what you're designing therapeutically for families. It's amazing. Thanks for joining us, Cathy.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.